Hello guys and welcome back. My name's Barry and today we're going to take a look at Nintendo Switch emulation on the GPD Win 3 on my particular model, the 1165 G7. Let me preface this video with saying I'm sorry for being pretty much very absent last week. Had a pretty stressful week at work, but during this week at work, I thought, why not get some games together from mostly Nintendo Switch exclusive games to test out on the GPD Win 3, since a lot of people have been comparing this device to the Switch and Switch Lite. So for today's video, I've downloaded Super Mario Odyssey, 3D World and Bowser's Fury, Paper Mario the Origami King, Pokemon Snap, and Luigi's Mansion 3. And before we start testing, let me preface this video again by saying all of the games that I'm going to show today are games that I physically own for the Nintendo Switch. So these have all been dumped by me and are on my home server. So, let's start right off with our first game. So, I thought today's video, let's start it off with Mario Odyssey. One of my all-time favorites from the Nintendo Switch library. And to be honest, I didn't have too many or too high hopes for Mario Odyssey on the Yuzu emulator. However, I've been playing a good chunk of this game on my Win 3, just so I can play it again. And let me tell you guys, apart from a couple of graphical glitches, which I will show you, and some FPS dips, going down to like 55 FPS, it's super playable. And I even found good use of the back buttons from the GPD Win 3, because on the Yuzu emulator you can set your input methods to any. So I used motion controls, or mapped motion controls to the spacebar, and mapped this programmable key to spacebar. So whenever I want to use motion controls on Mario Odyssey, for example, I just have to press this back button, which is very nice to have. I mean, it's not a necessity or anything, however, it's something that one can consider for when you're planning to play Mario Odyssey on the GPD Win 3. And of course I could crank up the TDP even higher than what I'm currently using. However, I don't think it would make too much of a difference, and 1.5 hours of battery life in handheld mode is already, in my opinion, rather on the lower side of where I'd like it to be. So I messed up my timing there, but as you guys can see, so in my opinion, I've played till Metro Kingdom, and apart from these smaller graphical glitches, you see the flag being white here and red on the other side, Mario's mustache being translucent in the title screen, as I'm sure some of you might have seen. This game is, in my opinion, really playable and just great all around. Especially since I was used to the GPD Win Max, right? And even with 25 watts TDP, I couldn't get this game to run even a fraction of this good on the WinMax. So I was very surprised to see that Intel Iris Xe, as well as this Tiger Lake processor, is able to pretty much play this game at a 55 to 60 frames per second. So rather fluently. Of course you're gonna see some dips, especially in areas where you might have not been to yet, so shaders that have to still load, etc. However, I think this is a very playable game on the Win 3. And going from one very playable experience to the next one, Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. This game has surprised me very much, because I thought that after Mario Odyssey they couldn't possibly bring out another great Mario game such as this one. However, this is, like, in terms of graphically as well as just in terms of fluidity and gameplay, this is so much fun, and I've really put a ton of game time already into this game on Yuzu, and as you can see, we are hitting a very, very, very smooth 30 FPS until we find something new, that the shaders haven't been properly loaded, of course. However, except for these rather rare occurrences, we have a very, very stable 30 frame rates of gameplay. This is, as well as my other games that I'm testing on the Yuzu emulator, of course running in the undocked mode. And this, in terms of like graphical quality and frame rate, limited to the same things that the Nintendo Switch has itself. And as you can see, we can even flip to other islands, and let's see how that maybe influences our frames. Did basically nothing to the frames. So as you can see, Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury is very playable on the GPD Win 3. And as for our next game, we have Paper Mario and the Origami King. This game, I sadly didn't have as much time to put into this game as I would have wanted to. However, in terms of what I was able to see already, except for minor graphical glitches, which you can see here on Mario's sprite. His sprite turning black. This is, as far as I could tell, so I'm still very much at the tutorial area here. This isn't a graphically intense game as Mario Odyssey or Bowser's Fury. However, the biggest obstacle to overcome for me in this game, if you really want to play this on your GPD Win 2, Win 3 or Win Max, was the motion controls, because straight up in the tutorial, they are forcing you to use motion controls to peel something off. However, you can turn them off in the main menu and can just use the left stick as a substitute for the missing motion controls, which is very nice. I would much appreciate games with like mandatory motion controls to always have this option to basically turn it off. So yeah, even though this isn't the most graphically intense game per se, this still runs very great. However, in my opinion, this game is borderline creepy, since Princess Peach is just very, very creepy. And I don't mean her look or anything, but her wish to fold everything and silence the toads, as she said in the intro of this game, was very interesting to see. So I guess this will be our tutorial fight now. And cool, now we'll be able to see how our frame rate behaves in battle. Line them up. I like that this game is very self-aware. She just had a great idea. If we line up all four of them. Yep. I sure love tutorials that are just way too long. Okay, we line them up. So in typical RPG fashion, we get an attack buff for doing something right, and we can use a jumping attack. Okay. Ooh, it dipped down there to quite a low FPS, so... However, I will update the video descriptions with my findings on these games as I play through them on the GPD Wing 3. In terms of playability, if the frame dips get better with a more fleshed out shader cache, and then you'll properly be informed if these games are as playable as it would seem. And as for our next game candidate, we have New Pokemon Snap, which honestly was rather surprising to see work this well, even though it pretty much just came out. So that was very interesting to see. So as you can see, even though it's a very beautiful game, of course, it is pretty much just a one-path adventure, right? At this point, so shoot a picture here, use this attention-seeking device, and even though we don't have motion controls over the camera, as long as you use both of your analog sticks, you're still going to be able to turn just fast enough to snap some good pictures. And yeah, even though it's not the like highest quality in terms of like graphical quality game there is on the Nintendo Switch, it's still very surprising to see that such a new release is still able to run on Yuzu, a rather new emulator, or rather new, a new-ish emulator without too many frame dips or quality issues. This game is, even in terms of like graphical glitches, texture glitches, running better than Paper Mario and the Origami King. So that's very surprising to me, since in terms of texture quality, this game is, in my opinion, even probably a bit harder to run than Paper Mario and the Origami King, right? So we got a good one of Bidoof, I think that's his name. Yeah, Bidoof. Or Bidoof, I don't know. But then again, very, very beautiful game. Ooh, what's that? Oh, a new fruit. A Tangrowth. Could you please turn around, sir? I'm trying to snap a picture for my cringe compilation. I'm just kidding, guys. A Hoot Hoot. Always on one foot. So, rather a very, very, very serene type of game, right? It's the type of game where you just wanna lay back after a stressful day of work and just snap some pictures of Pokemon. I haven't played too much, truth be told, of this game. Just pretty much the first 2 hours to just see how well it runs on the GPD Win 3. But so I can't say if it's like the Nintendo 64 one where you're able to find alternate routes while playing the route you're on. However, for what it is, and without any like nostalgia points to give to, since it's a new release, it's a pretty good game. And for our last round of testing, or the last game of that I wanted to test, we have Luigi's Mansion 3, which I thought, since Mario Odyssey runs great, Luigi's Mansion 3 should run just as well, right? Until I've seen in the compatibility row that they have described it as bad. So I thought, well, whatever, let's still try. Maybe the compatibility is just wrong, because Pokemon Snap in the compatibility row has not tested, so maybe this just hasn't been that thoroughly tested yet. However, I couldn't get this game to run for the life of me. So, we can already see on the title screen we have major texture glitches up top. And yeah, it's already crashed. So, sadly, as much as I'd like to play Luigi's Mansion on the Yuzu emulator, it seems as if we still have a little bit to wait until that is available for us. So in conclusion, pretty much most of the games that I wanted to play, or rather 4 out of 5 of the games that I wanted to play on the Yuzu emulator, have been running very, very great, with the exception being Luigi's Mansion 3. So, in my opinion, this is a very, very nice all-in-one device. Because some people might say, why would you want to emulate Switch games on a handheld if you already have the Switch as a hybrid handheld console? Which is where I would argue that I really, really, really like seeing the GPD Win 3 as a type of all-in-one device where I can not only play my PC games, but also from GameCube with the Dolphin emulator all the way to Switch, PS3, and even some Xbox 360 titles with varying degrees of success, of course. So, if you guys would like to see any other Switch games tested, maybe not even some from Nintendo, some maybe from other publishers, right? Please be sure to let me know in the comments. And thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day and goodbye.